Hey everyone, it's me again, Brittany, and I'm here today to do my Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas book talk. So as you know, this is part of a series that I'm doing since I am currently rereading the entire series before Kingdom of Ash comes out in October. And this is the third part in the series, which is Crown of Midnight, and this first part of the review will be non-spoilery, but I will get into spoilers later on. I'll give you a warning. No need to worry. This is the second book in the Throne of Glass series. There isn't that much that I can tell you about this one without giving too much of it away. I don't want to give away the ending of Throne of Glass, so just know that we are still following Selina. We get to follow Dorian and Chaol in this one as well. Selina is Aderlin's assassin, one of the best assassins in the entire city, if not the best. She had been saved from Endovir, the salt mines, by the Crown Prince Dorian to compete in his father's competition to become the king's champion. Chaol is the captain of the guard and the king's right-hand man. He's also Dorian's best friend since childhood, and he's given up a lot to be in the position that he is in. So that's kind of it for the summary. This one's plot is a lot more magical than the first one. There is a lot of build-up. There's a lot of hints throughout the story, building up to the very end of the book where everything just kind of collides and clashes and turns into this way more fantastical and magical story than the other two previously, being Assassin's Blade and Throne of Glass, had been. We do get to see some character growth, I believe. I have a lot more to talk about that in the spoiler-filled section. I just feel like even though there was character growth, there was a lot more that could have been done, and there was a lot that kind of frustrated me with the characters in this story, which, by the way, I totally forgot to mention. I did give this book 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. This was my second read of it, which is surprising. I'd read all the other books a lot of other times, and this one I just hadn't. Also, I wanted to mention, I opened up my book, and I saw this, and it says New Year's Kiss 2014. Isn't that hilarious? I think it's funny. Yeah. And then Chaol, I don't know if what he does could be considered character growth. It's more like, I don't know. I just don't think that Chaol grew that much as a person. I think that though he's very different in this one than he was in the previous one, it isn't because of himself, it's because of another person, which was a little annoying. Dorian, though, has the most character growth out of anyone in this entire book. He just really blossoms into like an even more beautiful and perfect prince, and I love him so much. I think that's kind of all I have to say for the non-spoilery area. Definitely read the book and then come back and join me for this spoiler-filled discussion. If not, if you've already read the book, or if you don't care that you haven't read the book and you just want to hear the spoiler-filled discussion, then stay tuned, it's about to begin. Let's start with Selina, because hers is kind of the most confusing, I think, out of the three main characters. I felt that she wasn't growing at all in this book. Like, throughout the beginning, we're just seeing a lot of this very stubborn, very hard-headed girl who is refusing to kind of see the bigger picture. Like, Nehemia is constantly trying to push her to be a better person, to believe in herself, to do more for the people, and Selina doesn't want to. She's like, I'm an assassin, it doesn't matter. And she is trying in her own way. She stays very stagnant and doesn't want to become a better version of herself. I hate that Nehemia had to die for Selina to move forward, to be her, like, a better version of herself, and that is the worst part. Like, if Selina had just listened to Nehemia would not have had to die. She needs to fight for this country that's been taken over. She needs to fight for Nehemia because Nehemia is not there to fight anymore, and it's like a ton of betrayal in this entire book. She has to actually accept her past, which is something that we always hear about in this book especially, but also in Throne of Glass, that she obviously has a very dark past to face with her family and everything that happened, but we don't know what it is, and she won't confront it, not really. She just wants to ignore it and throw it under the rug. But there was like a line in this book which was really sad where she was like, she says that she's ignored it for so long that she's almost forgotten their faces, which was really sad. I'm glad that in the end she was able to grow, but I think that for the most part she was pretty stagnant in this entire book. I was always Team Dorian. I want to start there. I always was Team Dorian, and Chaol was just kind of like a distraction to me. but he was still like a good person. And in this one, I just think that he really loses himself, because we always hear how what makes Kale Kale is that he's loyal, that he's like a really good person. And in this one, I mean, he loses his loyalty to the crown. He loses his like feelings towards everyone except for Selina. Like, he falls so in love with her that all that makes Kale Kale is that he loves Selina. And I really was annoyed with that. I also, I mean, I'll talk about relationships later, but like, I just thought it was really frustrating that really his only character growth in this entire book was the fact that he's now really nice to Selina and he'll do anything for her. It just made Kale a very boring character to me. Like, what else makes Kale Kale? That he loves Selina, cool, and that he loves the crown, but in the end he doesn't even love the crown, so all that makes Kale Kale is that he loves Selina, and I thought that was really annoying. And he's a good person, I don't want to like discredit that, like he really does love her and you can tell that it's like really true and from a really good place, but I was really annoyed with that. I just feel like he didn't have any other personality traits in this. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. He was always nice, but he was kind of stuck up. He knew that he could get whatever he wanted in the first book, and in this one he just sort of lets that part of him go. Like he really dedicates himself to like his friends and to like knowing that, I don't know, I just thought it was really nice the way that he saw Kale and Selina even before they were anything, and he was like, I have to let her go. Like, this isn't my place. Like, she doesn't want me. And like, he really respected her decision, and he didn't want to stand in the way of his best friend finding anything, so he had that moment where he was like, I'm gonna let her go. I have to let her go. And then just like even further, I was so mad at Selina when she was like ignoring Dorian when he thought that she'd only used him to like win the competition, because like he was in a bad place and he just needed a friend. Like, they were supposed to stay friends and she wasn't there for him, and I was getting really annoyed. She was so stubborn in this book. Dorian was a sweet little baby, and then when Selina needed him, when everyone needed him, he was there for them. Like, he even gave Roland a shot, and I think that's surprising because Roland sounded like a no from me. He gave Roland a shot, he was there for Kale, he was there for Selina. Like, he became Selina's like one and only friend after Nehemia died, and like their friendship is beautiful. It's so perfect the way that like he's there for her, and it's so pure, and like there's no expectations, and they're just like, they need to talk to someone about all these secrets that they now have, because they do have a lot of secrets. Like, Dorian now has magic and he has no one to talk to about it except now Selina, and Selina obviously has a lot going on, and she can finally like talk to with someone, and that's Dorian. And I don't know, Dorian just had a lot of character development. I don't know, maybe that's also why I just didn't love Kale that much in this book, because Dorian was just so much better. I don't know. And can we talk about Archer? From the beginning, like, he knew like all these things. Like, Nehemia had been feeding him all this information, and he knew all that when he first saw Selina. And I don't know, it's just like knowing all that made it really frustrating to watch it happen. Like, him manipulating her, him being like really sexual, trying to like influence her opinions. Like, she just didn't even question him because she had all this like faith in him. She had a girl crush on him from when she was a child, which was hard to deal with. And there's even a line where it's when Archer is just giving her all these names of all these people that he thinks are really connected with the rebel movement, and Nehemia says, let me find it, I was just like, Nehemia had stopped smiling though. What sort of man just hands out this information like it's nothing more than morning gossip? And after, when we find out that Nehemia had stopped talking to Archer, that she didn't trust him, like that means so much more. Like, she couldn't straight up tell Selina, but that was her trying to be like, hey dude, don't freaking trust this guy. I cannot believe that, I mean, I know that Nehemia influenced Archer into killing her, like getting her killed. He just didn't have to go that hard. Like, I don't know if he knew that Grave was sadistic and tortured his like murders as they were happening. I don't know if he knew that. He probably did, because later on when he's talking about how Farron was one of his clients, and he says, Farron says that was one of the best nights of his life when he tortured Sam. Like, I feel like just that on top of everything, Archer knew that Grave was sadistic and he was gonna hurt Nehemia a lot before she died, and he hired him. I know that he did it because of the connection with Mollison or whatever, but no, I think that that was him getting back at Nehemia and being just a god-awful person the entire time. I hate Archer. I'm so glad that Selina murdered him, because when she was about to let him walk away after he was like, Nehemia wouldn't want this. First of all, I think Nehemia would want this because you just killed her, and you know what? She may be a really good person, but no one's that good of a person. So I think that she wanted at least Archer out of the picture, and that's the best way to get him out of the picture, you know, is by murdering him. Nehemia was also really frustrating in this book. She wasn't as lovable as in the previous ones, I think. It's just, she is really mysterious, and she's kind of like, it feels like she's against Selina the entire book, which obviously she isn't. She's just trying to push Selina to be a better person. When we find out that Nehemia planned her own murder, that she was ready to die, it was just, I think, even more heartbreaking. It comes a lot into play in the later books, but Selina, that's like a betrayal in and of itself. Like, your best friend literally just had herself killed so that you could be a better person. Like, you should have just been a better person to begin with, Selina. I did want to talk about the magic that is introduced into this book. I thought it was so interesting. I loved it so much because first it really starts with the word marks. Selina finally just asking Nehemia to teach her and Nehemia accepting. We really only see one lesson, so I wonder how much Selina really learned from it. Like, if they just didn't talk about all the other lessons, but like there was only one, you know? I'm confused how she was able to read them and use them so much later on if we only learned of one lesson with Nehemia with the word marks. But I love the word marks because they're like this source of outside magic. Like, they're so ancient, so like ingrained in the nature of the world that they're able to be used even when the rest of magic isn't, which I thought was really curious. I just don't understand how that works exactly. Like, did whatever is blocking the magic now specifically block elemental magic? Like, maybe that's what it is. Like, that they're blocking like fae magic, I think. Like, I guess we wouldn't know because that's really the only other form of magic. So it's either because word marks are so ancient or because the kind of magic that is being blocked wasn't specific enough to like include word marks. I love just how much word marks play into the entire story because like with Mort, I mean, what is he? Why is he a doorknob that can freaking talk? And it's just really funny because it kind of reminds me of like Beauty and the Beast, but I know like he's a skull and like really creepy, so it's like creepy Beauty and the Beast. I don't know. I thought I was curious when they finally kind of mentioned that the king had to have made something to block magic. That something that he did blocked magic because obviously Dorian can still reach magic and no one else can, and he's part of the bloodline. And then word keys. So word keys. We don't learn much about them in this book. We just learn that they're like a source of immense power and that if you get all three, you can just open dimensions willy-nilly. And we know that the king at least has one. And the king is like creating creatures from this. Like, he's making things like that thing in the library, and then he made wyverns. Like, he mentions that at one point that like he still needs riders for his wyverns. Like, how are you doing all this? And then the rings that are all connecting like him, Parrington, and Roland, like, are they a source of power or are they just, I think they are, because with everything that happened with Parrington and Caltaine, I think it's just like influencing it. But like, this is kind of where I got confused because I know that Parrington having like that kind of ring power over Caltaine is the reason why she started having all these headaches and all this confusion. Like, even when she's talking to Selina and she's like, I hear wings, and I'm assuming that's the wyverns, but she isn't the one wearing the ring. While later on we hear that Roland is also starting to have a lot of headaches, but he's the one wearing the ring. So is it like maybe there's like a process into getting the power? Like, maybe until you are able to control the power of your ring, it has the same effects as like someone using their power on you. Also, I think it's really frustrating. Like, Caltaine's story in this one makes me even more sad for her. Like, I begin to really love her in this book, which I know it's like she doesn't really have a lot of development or anything in this book, but she's insane now. Like, she's gone crazy. Like, whatever Parrington did to her messed her up. And then we hear, we never really find out if it's like that Parrington's raping her or if he's just like hitting her or abusing her in one way or another, but we know that he is doing something bad to Caltaine when she has like bruises, and she tells Selina, she's like, the guards look away when Parrington comes to visit. And that alone, like, killed me inside. Because, like, I don't care how mean Caltaine was in the first one, she just doesn't deserve anything like that. She didn't deserve to be thrown in the dungeon. This wasn't her fault, you know? Like, she was not a good person, but she didn't deserve this. Then when Selina is also in the dungeon and she's talking to Caltaine, and Caltaine finally kind of admits to her that she's like, I'm going to Morath with Parrington, and I'm to be his wife. The king told me that. It's either that or what, staying in these dungeons forever. She's just really broken now, and she just doesn't deserve this, and I'm glad that Selina realizes it, because Selina kind of stops treating her badly. Selina gives her her cloak. Selina goes back to find Caltaine after she kind of puts the pieces together with the whole, like, flapping and headaches and whatever. The will. I want to talk about the will. What the heck, Selina? Like, okay, her and Chaol were actually together for 1 week. I actually paid attention this time. The previous time that I had read Crown of Midnight, I thought it had been for a long time. I thought they'd been dating for a while, they'd been banging for a while, but no. They had a lot of, like, sexual tension, I guess, for a while, but from the moment that they admit that they want to be with each other, which is also the night that they first have sex, to the night that Nehemia dies is exactly a week. I had a lot of trouble buying the romance in this one. I think I was too out of it, knowing that I didn't like Chaol. Chaol is a really good person. I know that he loved her, but it's just Selina's love for Chaol I had trouble buying. Like, you really put him in your will, like, 5 days into banging him. Like, she'd lost all her trust in him, but when she's talking to him at the end, when she's about to board the ship, she tells him, she's like, I'm always gonna love you, there's always gonna be a piece of me that loves you, but I just can never trust you, and I'm never gonna be with you, or something like that. So the big reveal, this is gonna be the last thing I really talk about in this talk. We're building up to it the entire time. I personally called this the first time I read the book. Selina is Aelin Galathinius. Yup. I mean, it's just like there's so much build up to it too. Like, from, I think the real moment where it starts to build, the first hint is when Selina hears that the rebels are combining under Aelin, and Selina thinks to herself, she's like, that's impossible. That literally cannot happen. And she's so sure of it that right then and there you should be like, how do you know that that should be impossible? And then we have Nehemia dying, and Selina sings they call it something weird, like a barge, a funeral barge or something like that. And it's basically a song in the language of the Fae. And Chaol starts doing research, and he finds out that the main house, the royal court of Terrasen, did have something like that, where that's the only court, and they're the only ones that would have known. Only the inner circle would have known. When he finally puts all the pieces together in the end, where the night her parents died is the night that her parents died, where he finally, like, looks it up, and it's the king's nephew and his wife got killed. And then he remembers how Selina said that she got found half frozen in a river. They say that, like, Aelin's body got thrown into a river, and it's just like a whole bunch of steps that finally, like, we get to see all of it to come together. So, like, even though, like, we knew that Aelin and Selina were one and the same, it was just really nice to see all the little puzzle pieces fall into place. I'm glad that that finally all got out. I think it's weird that Selina has a weird hang-up on Chaol. I'm bummed that Nehemia got killed. I hate Archer, and Dorian is a little baby sweet love. Little baby sweet love. Yeah, we're gonna go with that. Also, last thought, I love Fleetfoot. Just the sweetest little baby. She didn't want to abandon Selina, and she got hurt, and she loved Nehemia. So, alright, I probably could have summarized the entire video in that little last clip, so I hope you enjoyed it. I know that this was rambly. I know it was a little confusing. Leave down below your thoughts for Crown of Midnight. If it's going to be spoilery, warn people. We don't want people to get spoiled. And that's going to be it for my video today, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!